The West judges MiG-23 to be one of the worst fighters in the world. However, the Flogger itself once made Europe panic. July 4, 1989 was a memorable day for the 32 Air Operations Squadron, Wolf House, a U.S. Air Force station at Soesterberg Air Base, Netherlands. Two F-15C Eagle fighters were ordered to intercept a MiG-23 fighter jet flying into NATO airspace. However, the irony was, this was a ghost fighter, no pilot on the plane. On that day, Soviet pilot Colonel Nikolai Skurygin conducted a normal training flight on a MiG-23M fighter. Shortly after taking off from Goloberg Airport in Poland, Skurygin discovers that the engine had a problem and the plane was in danger of falling in seconds, so he decided to parachute. But while hovering in the air, Skurygin was shocked to find that the MiG-23M was not falling to the ground, but was regaining its altitude and rushing towards NATO airspace as if it had a pilot. At around 9:30 a.m., NATO radar station spotted the Soviet MiG-23 into airspace. Two F-15C fighters were ordered to sortie, ready to shoot down the enemy aircraft. Shortly thereafter, two F-15Cs caught up with the Soviet aircraft, but the pilot reported to headquarters that the cockpit of the MiG-23 was empty, while the glass canopy and pilot seat has disappeared. They also realized that the Soviet fighter was unarmed, so it was not a direct threat. F-15 pilots said that if they launched a missile to shut down the MiG-23, it could fall into the residential area below, endangering civilians. So they decided to escort the plane, waiting until it reached a safe area to destroy. NATO military air traffic controllers immediately informed civilian air traffic personnel, coordinating to avoid flight route of this MiG-23. The two F-15s flew with the ghost fighter to the southeast, passing through Dutch airspace and into Belgian airspace, where the plane without pilot began to gradually lose altitude. Belgian authorities ordered F-15 to shut down the MiG-23 as soon as it reached the sea. The police and fire rescue teams on the flying route of MiG-23 were placed in an alert state, ready to deploy. Near the border area between Belgium and France, the MiG-23 suddenly soared to an altitude of 12,000 meters until it ran out of fuel and began to plunge into the ground. Ground experts predict the plane will crash near the border town of Lille. However, they did not expect that the MiG-23, after flying nearly 900 kilometers, fell on a farm in Wevelgem, 80 kilometers west of Brussels. The accident killed an 18-year-old man. Both NATO and the Soviet Union quickly identified this as an unexpected accident, and both sides expressed regret about the incident. When the MiG-23s were initially deployed, they were considered the allies of the Eastern Bloc's air forces. However, very quickly the disadvantages became evident, and the MiG-23 did not replace the MiG-21 as initially intended. The aircraft has several deficiencies such as engine durability, as well as hourly operating cost was higher than the MiG-21s. However, until the production line stopped in 1985, a total of 5,047 MiG-23s were produced. Its operators amount to about 40 countries around the world. Today, the MiG-23 remains in limited service with some export customers such as Angola, Cuba, Congo, Ethiopia, Kazakhstan, Libya, North Korea, Sudan, and Syria. Soviet documents noted that on June 7, 1982, a squadron of 3 MiG-23 MFs of the Syrian Air Force shot down 2 Israeli F-16 fourth-generation fighters with the R-23 medium-range air-to-air missile. Over the next 2 days, the Syrian Air Force continued to use the MiG-23 with the R-23 missile, destroying 2 more F-16s, despite the loss of 2 MiG-23s. On June 11, 1981, the Syrian Air Force MiG-23 MS shot down an Israeli Air Force F-4 Phantom II fighter jet with 2 K-13 missiles. According to Soviet documents, at least 3 Israeli F-15 fighters and 1 F-4 was shot down by the new generation MiG-23 ML in October 1983. However, as usual, Western scholars deny this information and speak the opposite. War is like that. The data given by each side is always different. In 1987, Soviet pilots used MiG-23 MLT fighters to shoot down an F-16 and 2 AH-1J helicopters of Pakistan Air Force during the Soviet-Afghan War. In the conflicts of the late 1980s, Syrian and Iraqi MiG-23 fighters lost to the newer US F-14 and F-16 aircraft. However, the overall combat history of MiG-23 was not bad at all. It proved to be a nasty opponent. The rest lies in the ability of the pilot. The history of the war proved that modern weapons are needed, but good people are needed to win. Many countries hostile to the Soviet Union were eager to have the opportunity to evaluate the strength of MiG-23 fighters. In the 1970 to 1980 period, in many ways, the Americans received some MiG-23 MS or ML aircraft from their Egyptian ally. Immediately, they were put to the evaluation test. Documents show that Dutch pilot Leon van Muro, who spent more than 1,200 hours flying with the F-16, flew with the MiG-23 ML at air bases in Germany and the United States during assume combats. Leon van Muro commented that the MiG-23 ML proved superior to the early version of the F-16 in flight operations and the beyond visual range combat system. Israel also obtained a MiG-23 MLD from Syria and embarked on an evaluation. They had to make a bitter statement that it was faster than the advanced F-16 and F-A-18 fighters. After learning about another MiG-23, the Americans and Israel concluded that, in addition to a display in front of the pilot HUD, it also has another HUD display as a distance radar screen, allow pilots to observe unlimitedly and work more simply with their radar system. This feature is also mounted on the MiG-29, although on the plane there is a CRT monitor that acts as the other system. In general, experienced pilots of NATO, USA and Israel share the view that the MiG-23 fighter is a difficult opponent to play in the sky. Many features of MiG-23 surpass the first-generation F-16, F-4 and F-A-18. From this perspective, it can be said that MiG-23 was one of the best fighters in the world, rather than a disaster. I have finished showing you a different view of the MiG-23 Flogger. What is your opinion? How would you rate this Soviet fighter? Leave it in the comment section. Thank you for watching this video. Goodbye and see you again in the next videos. If you find this video interesting, write your thumbs up. Please subscribe to support the channel.